Okay, doing some quick invites. Okay, I was expecting more dark classical music, but so far it's not really choosing something like that. Yeah, let's try this again. Next. That's more like it. Okay. We need to acclimate to the dark Requiem. Why is it showing that my bitrate has issues? Am I dropping some frames? No. I do not drop any. Yeah, Twitch is not happy with it. Oh well, oh well. Okay, so I have to remember what this character was about. So this is a role-playing world called Requiem. We can do a quick review of the game world. Website is not looking too great if I resize it. Okay, here we go. So medieval gridmark role-playing is the setting. Website link is 13thrones.com/WordPress, or I think you can just click the. I think if you just click the domain, it will take you there, right? And they have a redirect. Yeah, they do. So 13thrones.com, and you can apply for a character. Let's see what happens when you do this. It takes you to the primer, which starts you on the current act. So role-playing is basically kind of like theater, although in a game setting. And here the rules is that you have to be 10 years or older. Let's turn this a bit down. Okay. Okay, I'm also checking all the chats. All right, so no questions so far. All right, so prospective players are required to read and understand the rules. We can quickly do a review. I've already read all these. Now let's do a quick review. So here you're expected to roleplay at all times. So that's common sense. So, you know, speaking like you would normally speak out on the street is not acceptable inside of the game. Unless, you know, something happens, and then we usually use like, you know, something like this, help, but, you know, very seldom when, or, you know, you want to say that you're going away from the keyboard, you can say something like that, but usually everything that you type into your character has to be what your character would say, so you have to basically do an impromptu. You know, if any of you have done any theater classes, any impromptu, then you understand what this whole idea is about. Okay. So yeah, so basically role-playing is like designing your own character, and then you have a setting in which, okay, I'm getting a lot of messages. I have to one sec. Messages on a whole bunch of platforms, because I just try to advertise the stream a bit. Okay. I need to mute for a little bit. Okay, so I don't get notifications. I'm lost in notification hell. 1 second here. All right. So we were talking about, okay, role playing is basically impromptu, but in a game setting where you write your own character. So as such, you have to write your own character, kind of try to, in your best ability, act as your character would. And you can use a lot of imagination, of course, but you just have to, as the rules also say very succinctly, you have to adhere to the shared lore. So the lore is basically the story. I don't know why I'm getting, there's some text over. Yeah, I need to make this website a bit larger. So this is a nice patcher and installer for Requiem. I like the team's work. Kind of sets the mood. It's already very dark and, well, it's welcome you, but in a dark way. Anyway, so the shard lore. Shard is, old terminology from Ultima Online, which is a game client that this is based on. And the inventor of this first MMORPG actually came up with the idea of servers. We have servers now, and each server has its own copy of everything. So there was some sort of backstory, which I kind of forgot, where how the whole world broke into smaller shards, so smaller servers. So there's a role play backstory as to why there were individual worlds. But this is singular world. So if you and your friends sign up to 13 Thrones, then you'll play on one server. So anyway, so this is the shard. And so the rule here says that you have to adhere to the lore. And the lore is basically all the stories, all the history, all the setting of this world. So you have to, it'd be great if you read through all that as best you can as you're designing and thinking about your character. So let's see if other important points is, for example, that magic is not widely accepted, right? So if you decide to play, you want to play a magician on your first character, it's going to be very hard. I would, go on the Discord and forums and read a lot about how other people roleplay their mage characters, and also you have to be accepted that a lot of people are going to hate your character as soon as you log on. So your best strategy there is to not let people know that you're into magic. So you have to, design a character that has a lot of excuses to do the activities that someone who is using magic would do, but without making it dead obvious that, hey, this guy's a magician, burn him, So, yes, I wouldn't recommend making your first character as a mage. I'm playing actually a simple character that's designed to be simple also to stream. A previous character was a pagan mage, and this would not be a character that could be easily streamed because, well, it would give away half of the secrets and half of the, challenges if you run up to this character, met this character. It was actually probably my most powerful character in this game, even though I didn't work too much at it. And if you don't play for a little while, you forget how the magic system works, so you're less efficient. And even given all that, it was still, I think, my most powerful character on the game, even compared to my first character. Quite a few years back, when I first joined the server, a friend told me about this place, and so then I designed a character based on the Dexter backstory. So it was how Dexter has this day life where he is, a lab technician, and then he has this, alter ego after dark. So this character, his day life was a priest who was very much into the order. He was an old fighter and stuff like that. But his nightlife was like a slightly darker version of Dexter. He wasn't as, doing God's work, so to speak. He was more a psychopath. But it was a fun character to play back then out of the loop. So then I redesigned this character in the new chapter, and I made a softer version of him. And then he ended up being like a community leader by the name Charlie, this is a cool thing about roleplay, is that the character's name was Vasson. But, being, a rogue type, he never actually told anyone his real name. So everyone knew him as Charlie. So he ran around. He was actually a pillar of the community, as anyone thought. But, he had a kind of a bit of a darker side. This another cool thing about role-playing is that your characters get molded by other characters and in-game events. And so even though this character started as a more dark template, ended up being a kind of, a friendly guy in the end that had a lot of friends in the community for some reason. So that was fun. I think this character that I made was, like a brute kind of a warrior shield type thing. This character was a dumb tailor that started out poor. So his dream was to, get rich by working or finding stuff and things like that. So that was this template. This was a dark character that didn't live very long because I didn't put in the hours required to make an effective character, and then an effective dark character. And it was actually kind of hard to start out as a dark character. Even though I'm somewhat experienced in role playing, I've been playing a role playing world since 1998. I think making a dark character requires a bit more of an investment also in the game mechanics, understanding game mechanics, playing more, being more engaged. I think it's harder to play a dark character if you don't have enough time to play. So this is the strategy behind making, basically an archer type character that more or less, I think if I remember correctly, this guy kind of grew up in the woods. Let's see. Okay, no, this is still pre-interview stuff. Okay, so this application system has some basic questions, a basic template. So actually let's start with a character's history. So this character and his family kind of grew up in the woods in a way to avoid the busy life and the risky life of towns and towns in a dark setting. Don't have the easiest time. So I guess his family strategy was to try to get away from all that risk, and given that his dad Alad was a carpenter and woodsman, the woodsman kind of fits in with moving his family out in the countryside where they could more easily find what they need to live, food, foraging, find a nice stream and make some huts or whatever. And so that's basically the lowly or not so fleshed out upbringings of this character. So with the setting, okay, so he lives in a forest. Of course, he comes into contact with animals because of his dad's kind of and his family's influence. That okay, people are risky. You need to watch out. He developed kind of a more cautious personality, so always looking around him and analyzing things around him, but also looking for opportunity. Right, so that's kind of the setting. So the reason why we're going into all this, and the reason why you should write all this in your own application, is to have like a base template where this character starts from this initial vector, let's say this initial point, and these quirks and these experiences are what the things that you should think about when you're interacting with other characters or you're interacting with events in the game, and you come to some event or some challenge, and then you have to think about, okay, so, okay, you're playing the game, so you inadvertently you influence how your character thinks because it's you. But if you go through these steps more often, it's going to make it more fun to try and dissociate a bit more from your real life. And after all, this is a game, we want to have fun. We want to kind of detach a little bit from the real life challenges, work stress, long days. And it's been Monday, so it's been a very long day for me. So I thought I'd do maybe a pre-stream or at least go through character creation in this episode, so to speak. Maybe I'll upload it to YouTube later. So, long story short, so going back to the characters' upbringing. Okay, of course, cooking skills. Having to survive in the forest, picking that up by his family, and of course, some basic woodmanship and stuff like that, survival skills, stuff like that. So these are the things that kind of build up his basic background and abilities. But of course, okay, so his family tried to escape from the towns and the city risks, but they didn't have to. Well, they weren't as lucky. They either weren't met with a haven, because even out in the countryside, there's risks, and sometimes there's even more risks. There's brigands, and there's camps and thieves and other people who just travel by, and then they run into your encampment, and then, oh boy, So this is more or less what happened to Ammon and his family. And of course, you often have a traumatic backstory where, his dad was killed by these people, and then his mother was captured. And this is, the character kind of had to run away, right? His mom, Belina, advised him to run. And so that's how he comes into the current world, right? And then that's the starting scenario where you run into, basically imagine you're running into a gate with guards, and they're telling you that, this place has the plague, more or less, the torment, to use the game terminology. And so, they're asking you, so why should you grant you passage? And to that, basically, this character says that, okay, well, given he grew up with animals, and often he, helped heal animals, this and that, he kind of got into anatomy, so he's a bit like a field medic. So because of that, he used that as his excuse to, pass the guard check. And this is also a role-playing check, which is intelligent by the team that designed Requiem, 13 Thrones. It's a role-play check, so to check, okay, can you role-play? Do you understand? You come to a crossing the road, and you have some options. What would your character do based on who your character is, based on your template, really? And again, this is just a template, so it doesn't fully, limit you to not doing anything else. So, okay, so lots of talking, lots of intro. We can click the game client and see. Hopefully everything goes well. We'll keep this open on the side, just in case we need to check into some bits of our character. So the new game patcher is ready, and it's connecting. It looks so nice, and it's preparing us. Okay, so we also have game music now. I have to decide what to do. Oh, no, that was just an ultrasound, I think. Okay. So I'm not sure I'm going to read all that and ruin it for you. I think I'll stick more to the roleplay tips, and maybe I'll just try to read out what strikes me. So basically, this is a songmaker is kind of like an entity, like a god entity that lives between realms and stuff like that. And you are soul. You probably came from a different body, to give roleplay to the fact that this character slot or this character used to be something else and now it's getting remolded. So it'll be fun for you to read this on your own and take your time with it, because this is, after all, role-playing games. It pays to, get into character and also immersing yourself. So he says, of course, back again. I see. Well, I'm not surprised one bit, right? Because we're addicted to these games. So, of course, we're back for more role playing. Okay. So then there's, of course, like a book, descriptions and fleshing out the role play. So the figure dressed in a black flowing robe, and this is. Oh, can I move this? Apparently, I can't move this. So the book is taking. I think in previous version I could move this, so I could show you the figure, but it's okay. Okay, emits a soft chuckle, wagging his figure on his left hand tauntingly. Oh boy. He then cocks his head, puts his hand on his hips and takes an exaggerated sigh. Oh shucks, my apologies. I almost forgot that you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Of course, because after you die, your character dies, your soul is liberated. You have no, recollection of what you used to be, what your previous life was. So that's why he's kind of, realizing you're just a mortal soul. If you haven't noticed, my dear friend, you aren't exactly yourself right now. Exactly. The figure giggles to itself. He still has humor after seeing thousands of souls supposedly come through this process, right? Actually, that's not technically accurate. No, you're not actually even considered to formally exist at this point in time. So to be yourself, you would be inferring that you are in fact something. That is, or where? Okay, I'll skip on some of this stuff. Okay, so the song maker is taking us through the basics. I'll leave you some of the dialogue. Yeah, there's some hidden jokes in there and a lot of jokes at our expense. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave some of this. Let's get to the character creation. So he says, at some point, behold, mortal, I am the maker of songs, the composer of thine Requiem. Again, this kind of sets up the whole dark background. I don't know how they put it nicely on the new website. Medieval Gridmark role-playing is the whole setting this is about. Okay. So my role within your fleeting and inconsequential life is most likely incomprehensible to you, but know this. It is I who records your heroic deeds and thine villainous acts, your generosity and depravity, your honor and cowardice. And of course, it's the songmaker and the whole staff and team behind the server who will be watching us, and other game masters. I don't know if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons. This game is based on Dungeons and Dragons with a hardcore or heavy role play setting. So, the songmaker kind of represents a bit of the system, how the system works, and also the team that makes this place come to life. Okay, so this continues. Yet most importantly, I'm that which sees and sings you are undoubtedly violent and cruel, and in this thing you call an existence. For the writing of your Requiem is both my duty and pleasure. Of course, he has fun. This is why he's so cheerful after so many players coming through. Okay, so name. So for name, actually, let me resize this. This is taking a lot. Oh, wow. It's resizing and it's also changing. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so now we're going back to look at the character. You have to use exactly the character that you applied with, otherwise you won't be let in the real world. You'll be only locked to a test area, which you can download the patcher. The game client is going to download all the files it needs, and you can just test it out and see if you like this game client. But I think you should really, give roleplay a chance. So here we just enter exactly the name. Hopefully this character is okay. We'll find out. I think it's not okay. Yeah, let's try something else. Let's try... I kind of thought that character was too fancy to pass. Oh, what's up with that? Okay, first bug. We could shorten it. What character would actually pass? Let's try this one. Right. Okay, let's try the full name. I think it has an issue with... Yeah, that's more proper. Okay. All right. Getting used to the GUI of this game again. It's been a while since I've played on an Ultima client. Okay, so we're playing a guy. And so... Body type. I guess it changes our paper doll. This is called the paper doll. It's like a mini avatar of your character where you see all the accessories or anything that you're wearing, any outfits, any weapons and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, we should make him a little scruffy, but not too scruffy. Okay, so hairstyle. Okay, so this is Songmaker. The actual, oops. Okay, that resets the process. I thought he would bring up his paper doll, but nope. Okay, so everything is saved. This is good, this is good. We're also doing testing. Testing this live. Okay, so Kenta says, hey, character creation stream. Yep, love the Olive Garden piano music. Yeah, thank you. I was hoping more dark classic music would play, but for now, it's not loving me, so. There's so much dark classical music, that's why I went with it. Okay, so hairstyle, let's try this again. Okay, so this guy lives, you know, in a forest, so let's go with like something wild. You know, maybe this. Did that work? I think. That facial hair. I mean, he trims his beard, so let's go with something like this. Okay, oh, and it says, actually you can, if you hit Alt-J, this should bring up your journal, or you can click the journal button over here. So then you get some feedback on what it's doing. And once I kind of resize my client, I'll put my journal somewhere where it's convenient. Oh, and we have a lot of cool options here, and the dark mode. Ooh, I like dark mode. Okay, so it says done. So now we know that the user interface did its thing. Let's go with like dirty blonde or something like that. Okay. So we did the hair. Okay, so next, heritage. I've already forgotten where this guy grew up. Where was he? Oh boy. That's going to be interesting. I have to find what I decided to, and it's actually, I reused an older application. That's why I kind of forgot where the kind of growing up location was for Ammon and his family. So let's see if we can spot it. Okay, so basically, okay, Midlands, there we go. So for those of you who didn't get the quick background, so I'll reiterate, this is a role-playing game, and so you have to design your own character, and your own character has to fit in with the game lore. So you have to read 13thrones.com and go through the application primer, go through the rules, go through. Actually, there's lots of links here that will take you to different parts of the primer and different parts of. There's also some examples for characters. Then there's a template for character application. And you can start reading. This will link you to a lot of the other history and story behind the game. But you can also go and explore the game website and read through all the stories or all the lore. So this character, basically, long story short, like I'll speed through because some people have been watching from the beginning. His parents decided to move into the countryside to avoid the risks of towns, and so this guy kind of learned, from his carpenter, woodsman father, his skills and how to survive. Picked up a bow, learned to hunt, learned to forage and stuff like that, and take care of himself, working with his family. But sadly, they run into, or bad people run into them. And so his father got killed. Oh, I have to press choose. Midlands. There we go. Okay. So this ended up with his dad getting killed off and his mom getting captured, which kind of sets forth his character into his journey to get away from those risks and running into the current situation. And his background kind of gave him some skills due to growing up with a lot of animals, caring for his animals, how to basically be kind of something like a field medic. So I'm quickly running through that. You can find actually most and all character applications on the forum. So once you get your forum account, you can go and read my application as well. And you can use it as a template for some sort of an archer background, woodsman, stuff like that. It's a decent template for that. Of course, you should change it heavily. Don't play like me. There's only one of us around, mostly. And I mean, it's still it's a template and doesn't fully restrict you on what to do. Okay, so depending on which area you come from, each one has perks, equipment, things that are unique to them. And some of these things you can role play. For example, you can role play, talking, Yultish. And I think there's some game mechanics where you can talk to another character in this dialect, and all the people around you don't have an idea what you're saying. And also in game mechanics, they won't be able to decode the things. So it's like you're encrypting communication only to the Midlands folks. So you can have like a Midlands group and, talk amongst yourselves. But other people that are from Midlands will also be able to listen in. Okay, so let's actually do a review of the Midlands, because it's been a while since I read the lore, and it's actually nice that there's a lore also in game as well as on the website. Me as a player, I prefer learning much more in game, even though I've read through the website and most of it is still stuck in my head. And it's good to have as much of it around as you can, because you run into a lot of situations where you have to make decisions in the game as your character. So it helps to know most of this. Sorry, I'm just checking in messages. Kenta says, I feel like a forester would keep their hair cut short because of twigs, dirt, etc. would get caught in the hair. You have a point there. But at the same time, I think when he's not in the forest, he probably, let the hair go wild. Also, you can change your hair in the game. And there's also, there's people that can give you a haircut, or you can use the right tool, give yourself a haircut. That's not a huge issue. It's not a game breaker or concept breaker, but that's you're getting in. This is a fair roleplay comment. Okay, so the Midlands, as their name indicates, are located in central Vitavius. This is the name of the world. Though what is defined as a Midland territory varies. Generally, there are two criteria people adhere to when referring to the Midlands. First, many Midland territories claim one of Vitavius's three great mountain ranges as their western border. The Galehorn Mountains in the north, the Godspine Mountains in the west, and the Eternal Range in the south. Second, many Midland territories are gathered around Vitavius's Great Lakes, such as Good Sea or Lake Vogue, any Midland territory will meet one of these two distinctions. The Midlands, like the Eastern Territories, are generally temperate climates, although this varies in both the cool north and warm south. They do not see much rainfall, as many coastal territories, although there is enough precipitation to support scattered forecasts and expansive plains. This extensive wealth of arable land makes them prime candidates for agriculture. Cool. So that totally fits with, Ammon's family's backstory. They escaped town life to have more access to resources, food, and less risk in their life. Not having to deal with shady characters in town. So it all makes sense. I'm going to skip through most of this so we can, go through the character creation, but you get the gist of this particular area. Okay, so we already chose, so you have to hit next. You get used to the interface. So it says now we're starting to shape up. Yes, this all looks good. Rather, you look good. That we need more details. The devil is in the details, mind you. Okay, so attributes. I think we have that in the application somewhere. So he's in his 20s. He's just about average weight. Looks not bad. How tall is he? Did I specify? Maybe I didn't specify. Okay, so we'll go with average weight, average height then. He's not, he doesn't stand out in this way. And actually that makes sense for this character. Yeah, let's go with above average. We're having some stream issues. No, okay. Weight, let's go exactly average. Skin hue, like he's out and about a lot, so let's make him a little bit more tan. Looks, we said he is not bad. Wow, this is not ranked by attractiveness. So which is the mutilated plain? So not bad is probably something like plain. I actually had a lot of fun. One of my characters, Leo Kriya, was really ugly, like really ugly. So it was nice to, have other characters pick up on this and, also integrate into their playstyle, talking to your character. And that's actually, it's both a negative, but it also makes it more fun to not always, play the most beautiful character that's ever lived and so on and so on. There's a lot of fun in that. So I guess we can go with average, maybe. Yeah, so this is like, it's a click average and everything done kind of character. But I don't know, he's just an average woodsman. So avatar, ooh, okay. Here we get a lot more options to, so this is something that will be visible when someone kind of looks at your character. There's a command where you can look at someone and see the description of your character. Now this kind of is a bit more like it, which is, wow. It looks like there's maybe a lot of avatars. Times avatar used. Oh, it also says how many people are using this. Interesting. This guy kind of looks a bit like an elf. Interesting. This guy kind of looks like Jesus a little bit. Yeah, this guy looks too pretty for my character. Yeah, we're aiming for something average. We could probably click through this all day. I don't know, maybe this character is okay, but he looks a bit older than 20. But I don't know, you don't change an avatar, so we can just go with it so we don't click through this all day long. And also characters have to be starting at 18 years old, so you can't play a kid in this game because it's a dark setting. Let's repeat again. The setting is medieval gridmark role-playing. So you don't want, have a kid going through torture. That's not okay. So that's why we're not allowed to play a kid. Oh, I forgot the description. Yeah, that's very important. Okay, so we have a description here. Let's see, we can just use this description. No, I didn't mention my height, but it's just, I'm distracted, so let's see if we can just paste this, and hopefully that works. And we can just change that to our character's name. Or we can actually change it back, because even if you mention the character's name, you start to influence someone, and maybe someone will forget that you haven't told them your name. Although, I'm not playing a rogue, so he's probably going to tell his name to everyone. But when I play, more dark characters, they just use aliases, and they never really tell anyone anything. And they actually tell different people different stories, but not so different that, they start figuring out, okay, this guy is not, this guy is a liar. Okay. So now we're going through the more technical side of the character creation. Checking my message 1 sec. Okay, so I had an idea how to set this up, and a friend that is more experienced in the game than me kind of gave me some starters. Because usually most of the characters that I designed this game, mechanically they're screwed up. They're more like roleplay accurate, but mechanically they're really kind of messed up, and so my gameplay has been kind of average. Hopefully, since I want to stream this more, hopefully this is not going to suck too much the way I'm thinking about setting it up. So stat allocation. Okay, so this is statistics like, let's see if we can bring up, what was it, Alt S? Oh, it's not coming up right now. We can click on status. So statistics is all this stuff. So strength, dexterity, intelligence, hit points, stamina, mana. So mana is for magicians or all the skills that, use concentration and stuff like that. And maximum stats, it says for 100, but maybe that is lying. And this is your resistances, how much magic you're carrying. I don't think there's animals in this game. And this is your weight, and your weight limit changes depending on your strength, of course. So dexterity, we're going to need a lot of dexterity for, I think, archery types, for bows and stuff like that. Okay, so one thing is the font is really, really tiny on this thing. Like, someone says my accent is lovely. Why? Thank you. It's Greek. Sort of. Greek people don't think I'm Greek, so go figure, right? And I also speak Greek with an accent, so go figure. They're like, where are you from? Greece. Okay, so this is kind of hard to read. And, I'm also trying to stream at the same time, so I'm like, what is it saying here? Okay, so we start. Okay, let's try to hack this. Okay, so available stat points to begin with, 140. Thanks, Skew. Where are you from, Skew? Okay, so 140. So here we have like up arrow, down arrows. This is nicely done. So let's say we want to, I don't know, what's the starting setup? Should be Chicago. Cool. Sorry. I've been to Chicago, actually. It's a beautiful city. I love how you have skyscrapers right next to the river, and they're like, they're all reflective and stuff. Okay, so we definitely need a lot of dexterity for this character. Oops. We got disconnected. Just to the server though. Okay. I think it should save everything. Hopefully. There's the server offline. Let me check the game chat and see. Actually, there's a channel that tells you when everything is up or down. And actually, one of the administrators says that the shard will be up and down for setting things up, I guess. Oh, the server has shut down, actually. Wow, okay. Well, this kind of, yeah, this is bad timing to set things up. Okay, so we went through, halfway through character development. So we started doing stats. Actually, let me check. Oh, server is back online. Hopefully everything was saved. Okay, okay. Okay, so we double click this guy again. We can just skip through this. Oops. Yeah, everything is saved, I hope. Okay, okay, okay. So we were here. Oh, we also saved. So this is a server game, so everything you do is saved on the server side. And actually I can tell you how to be sure of what it's doing. You can open your journal. I didn't save the dark mode because the client didn't exit to save client settings, but on the server side, everything is saved all the time. So there is a message. You see, whenever you see this message, the world is saving, please wait, you know that everything is saved. So you don't need to panic. That's something that you were doing on the server is going to roll back. Rarely, very rarely, there are rollbacks, but hopefully this time there weren't any, and the server was fixed in no time. Okay, so I was just about to raise dexterity because this guy is well, is an archer, bowman. So to shoot your bow, you need to logically speaking, you need to very quickly pick up arrows and string your bow and then aim and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. So intelligence, I'm not sure how intelligent this guy needs to be. I mean, the background says that his mom kind of taught him to read, and he started reading a bit. He started developing himself a little bit, but he's not a genius. He's not a mage type, right? Hit points, you kind of need a bit of those because when if you don't have any, things kill you very easily. Stamina, actually, it has a description on there. All right, let's try the description as well. Utilize performing combat moves and all the martial abilities used in affecting application of armor. Aha. I'm not a genius on the mechanics, so don't use the my knowledge of the mechanics as kind of your go-to. There's probably better guides on the forum and in the player guide as far as the mechanics. I can give you more tips on how I role play. And maybe you can pick up some of that and make it your own. Performing spells and other magical abilities using effective application of magical items. You're probably not going to need that at all. So we still have 65 points left. Strength is very important, and it plays a role in a lot of stuff, including armor and how much armor you can carry. So we're going to, kind of like eyeball this between hit point strength, some intelligence, and dexterity. I think it's going to be probably ideal. Hopefully I don't mess up the character too much. Okay, so we still have some. Okay, we need to raise the dexterity a bit more. Okay, what is this thing now? You have to pay attention to either the messages. Well, actually, I think it's very useful. It's a good thing I said that. It's very useful to open your journal as soon as you start in this game, because all the messages are visible here, and you can go back if you miss something. You can click this thing and figure out what you missed. Okay, so it says I do not have any stat points to spend. So I think we're done with that, and it saved everything. So we have total max points of 400, I think, with the skills probably. So 200 for stats, 200 for skills. I have no idea. Okay, Songmaker says, Grand, strike what I said earlier. You can stay as long as you wish. Yeah, of course. Okay, so birth sign affect your discount on purchasing skill perks. This phenomenon known as birth sign discount triggers when purchasing skill perks that possess the same governing sign as your own birth sign. When this occurs, your character will enjoy discount to the animus purchase price of the perk in question. So animus is points that you gain by playing a lot in the game, role playing. There's other ways to gain them by actually engaging in the world. At least that was how it was the last version. I have to think a little bit about the birth sign, because I mean, personally, I also use it like I don't know, a part of the character template. So let's try to read through. And actually, this is important because it's permanent. Unless I don't know, unless you can ask for help if you really mess up. But given that it's permanent, I suggest that you really read through this. So the fool is a man bereft of purpose or path. So here you have to, it also kind of makes you wonder about your character template and who your character really is. And I don't think this character is someone that doesn't have a purpose. It has a very distinct beginning, life in the country, then some peril, dad killed, and then he has to run away from the captors that have his mom, and he has to make his own way in the world. So the lovers represent fellowship, unity, and bonding are often associated with the lovers. However, they also carry with them the burden of sacrifice, for there is little to be gained that doesn't require something to be given in turn. In broader scope, the lovers are identified with the brotherhood of mankind as a whole. This could fit to my character, but I'm not 100% sure if it's the best option. Archbishop presents authority. No, definitely not my character. Well, let's read it. He is possessed of the vision necessary to... Am I reading something wrong here? He is possessed of the vision necessary to see the path into the future. Okay, that's a weird sentence, sorry. Those who adhere to the sign of the Archbishop hope for stability, whether they assume the mantle of leadership or abide by the judgment of another. However, the Archbishop is governed by doctrine, and the doctrine does not change. Guidance may be granted, but deviation from said guidance is not an option. With order comes inflexibility. So this is a very kind of rigid character with strong values, and it fit like a church person. Virtue represents guidance borrowed from the sacred eight, the Decusian faith. Virtue represents a goal to strive towards. It is the desire to master oneself. However, virtue must come from within. Those who look to the sign of virtue must remember, while the end goal is clear, the path is self-determined. They struggle in virtue, but it is internal rather than external. It's also good for kind of religious type character. The mage is definitely not for me. Represents power. Not for this character because he's a bowman, right? So, yeah, energy, power, and all that kind of stuff. Fun stuff for a mage. I don't recommend playing a mage as your first character. As a reminder, it's very difficult, and a lot of people are not going to like you. So it's going to be very difficult to roleplay, really. Okay. So the Watcher often walks a lonely path. What else is distinct? Pertains to some inner truth or some external occurrence. It is rarely a shared experience. Okay, so this is for a very lonely character. It would fit one of my older characters, for example, although he ended up being more social in the end. So Vashin was more like that, or like this very dark character Vesh that didn't live very long. I didn't even remember what this guy was about. I need to like dig through my applications and see what this character was about. I already forgot. The spirit presents otherworldliness. He is the one who has broken the bonds of the mortal universe. Excuse me. And set foot in heaven and hell. Those who identify with the spirit live their lives aware of the fact that beyond this existence there lies other realms, both demonic and divine. Board is barely held in check by the laws of the doctrine. So this is for dark characters, very dark mage type characters, and I wouldn't recommend these characters as your starting character. I would recommend this even less than a mage, because as I said earlier, if you go back in the VOD, trying to play a dark character, you need to devote a lot of time and you need to already be very experienced in this world. So I would recommend, a more fluffy character, more, slightly more easy character to begin with, especially if you're new to roleplay and you just want to dip your toes in it. The Legionnaire represents conquest. Those who seek to effect change by force march alongside the Legionnaire. Though the favor of many soldiers, the Legionnaire is not exclusively the domain of those who make a living through the clash of swords. I think this was one of my characters that was a warrior, Zane. I think that was his background, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't remember by this point. It's been a while. So, however, in order for some to claim victory, others must taste defeat. The Legionnaire also holds sway over those brought low by impulsivity, recklessness, and pride. So it's kind of like a warrior type. The moon presents secrets. It shows us the truth of the night, but only in glimpses and shadows. It is a sign pursued by those seeking to keep something hidden, a symbol of deception. This is great for a dark, rogue type character. Illusion obfuscation. My character is not too roguish. Maybe he's a little roguish because he ran into a lot of these types in the woods. And these are the people who hurt his family and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not 100% sure if he's like the lover or the moon. I'm like between those two. The cog represents fate. Those who claim the cog as their sign, value, action dictated by purpose. Very purposeful. There was another one in the beginning that was like, devoid of purpose. So this is like the opposite of that. For without a place in the greater scheme of things, uniqueness can impede usefulness. So like a character that likes groups that will join a group maybe, or I don't know. Read through these yourselves and see, what fits. Tower presents the unwelcome truth. Oh boy. There's many interpretations, but none are pleasant. Wow. Some identify the tower as a symbol of unwanted change. The transition from one way of living to another. Okay, that kind of fits the background of the character a little bit. To others, the crumbling facade is a story of the folly of man, the rise and subsequent inevitable fall of order or civilization. Those who choose the sign of the tower acknowledge that they or their legacy will likely fall to ruin, and all that was once proud and glorious shall become as dust. Many suggest that one does not choose the tower tower chooses them. This is interesting. Okay, this kind of fits this character backstory, so I'm leaning towards that, although I'm not sure how it's going to affect everything. The entry presents salvation. So this is another kind of religious type, very religious tones. And we're back to the beginning. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the tower, and I think this is probably the first time I've chosen the tower as a birth sign. So here goes, and this is a permanent choice, so if you click this is done. And it says in the journal you have chosen a new sign, the tower. Good. All right. So we're done with this stage. Clicking next. Okay, so we're finally getting to the skills, and kind of like a skills template. So here we're gonna go with probably just archer. I have to think a little bit about this. I have to look at my notes. One sec. Okay, so yeah, something like okay. What skills you have to bring to the table? Okay, let's see what this does. Through long hours of practice in the yard, in the field you have honed your skills with the bow. You may have used the bow in the forest or crossroads in the militia. Either way, you know how to mark your targets well. Okay, so 40% archery, 25% anatomy, 200 tactics. Carpentry, of course, horticulture is picking up things in the forest, basically herbs and the like. So this is exactly the background that I've written. So it's like 100% this kind of background. So you can also do this in reverse. I mean, if you're new to role playing, you can go on the website. Again, now I'm going to advertise the domain 13thrones.com. It's going to bring you here, and you can go through skills and wiki and figure out maybe what character you want to play, and then work backwards from there and figure out the backstory you should write to also tie into how you want to play in the game. And there's a lot here to figure out. So if you're into learning new game mechanics and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have a lot of fun. You can also play crafter, by the way, and crafters are very cherished and protected because we all need them. So there's no shame in being a crafty, townie. That's fine. Okay, so here you also get like a starting set, which is not going to be great. It's just going to be what your character ended up with before you can get a player to make you something better. Okay, so let's select and see what happens. So if there's in the archer skill background, okay. So this is one choice only, and now I guess we get to hit next. Well, parting is such a sweet sorrow, but don't fret, I'm on the valley. I've got your song already started. Your very own Requiem, oh boy. I'm sure we'll be meeting again soon, which means he's, saying you will die soon. It's likely. I mean, you probably won't die too soon, but, if you keep challenging people and things and whatever comes your way, this is a dark setting. So you have to be aware that, keep pushing your luck. If you keep pushing your luck in this game, you may die soon. I mean, okay, this character that I created, Vesh, literally lived maybe a day. I mean, he was a very dark character, and he made the mistake of, trying to seduce someone to kill another player very early. And it was a risk, and very soon everyone in the town was talking about him, and then people were chasing him, and someone killed him. I was like, geez, I didn't even get to develop the character at all. It was too funny how quickly this character died. So yeah, this is why the songmaker is telling you, I'm sure we'll be meeting again soon. Wherever and whenever that may be, I'm sure you'll be a little less eager to jump into the fire and out of the pan, and probably in pieces. Oh, very much dead. Yeah, he has dark humor. The songmaker glares at you from beneath his mask before erupting in laughter. So this is emote language. So when people emote stuff, it's probably going to be like that. We can't do that right now, but yeah. Okay, so it says, get out there and die already, won't you? Okay, sure. Okay, so now we're in the. Oh, okay. Let's wait for the music to die down. All right, so it's a nice little quick intro tease. Okay, so your senses suddenly return to you as you reach the end of the long mountain tunnel. Your thoughts had drifted to somewhere else entirely during the long trek through the rumbling pass. You try and recall the peculiar daydream, but to no avail. Wherever your mind had wandered moments ago is but a feeling, distant memory. Gradually, the harsh reality of your predicaments sets back in the world has gone to utter shit, and you've got a first row ticket to the show. And some guards are showing up and passing through. We're in the world of reasons only you truly know. You've risked both life and liberty to come to this godforsaken place, the first province. Within its embattled jurisdiction lays Tor, the former capital of the Republic, now teeming with the undead. Oh boy. Some say there is glory to be had in the first province. Others speak of a cure to the torment. So it's like a kind of a plague. It's a big disease in the game. As the part, I mean, we live in a pandemic era and we're playing a game where there's a plague. It all fits in. It's going to be easier for you to roleplay, and also, I don't know, try to work out your own issues and your own loss and your own loss of freedoms and all that kind of stuff that we're all living through. So anyway, this is a welcoming setup here. So speak of cure of the torment, as depart the train and step forth into the province proper. You're skeptical that there is anything save death awaiting you here. Yeah, probably bad choice. So you start, with a very dark setting. A towering outpost stretches before you, situated around the eastern exit of the pass. You become instantly aware of numerous eyes falling upon you. Looking around, you meet the gaze of rather imposing figure, a Templar of the venerated church. So one of these Templars. The figure is ordained in the traditional outfitting of venerated church Templar, blood reds and valiant silvers. His battered armaments indicate that this place is no short of supply of strife. The figure gives you a curt nod before speaking. More carrion for the crows, I see. Get on through. Traveler, your paperwork was sent through with an earlier train. Once a corpsman can verify your details, you're free to enter the province for whatever good that will do you. Returning to the Templar's nod, you feel you steel yourself for what lies ahead. Okay, so this is like the demo area, where if you haven't made a character application, you can, come all the way to this area and just try out the game and how the world looks, and you can then come up with an application. And you can also use whatever name you used in the application. So you can either do the application before, or you can do the application after you test out the world. And how you do this is you just go to the website and you follow the connecting guide, files and setup. I'll just feature very quickly just to get you through the navigation. So here you can go through all the introduction, but if you want, you can just skip to this part and you can just download this. And there's also a process for Mac users. So you download this on Windows. You can right-click scan with your antivirus just to be sure it's fine. Most of the antivirus give false positives for this thing. And after you're okay that it has no viruses, and I've checked with Bitdefender, it's fine. You can right-click run as an administrator, and that's going to resolve most of the issues with false positives, I think, in most cases. If not, you can check on the Discord channel. If you just go to the main site, one of the first buttons there take you to the Discord channel where you can ask for help. There's a player help channel, and we can help you, or people in the community can help you to figure things out. So you can just download this, run it. It's going to download everything it needs, and then you can come in the game and check it out and see if you like it. And meanwhile, the server is going down for maintenance again because it's just opened up today. So it's going through some setups and stuff like that. I'm going to quickly check the community messages, and maybe I'll take a tiny break until the server is back online. As I said before, everything you do on the server is saved, and if you have your journal open, you can open your journal with this button here. You see that the world is saving, so you know that everything that you were doing is saved, and you can go back to whatever was happening. And often, I mean, sometimes, if there's a disconnection or something, or the server goes down, then comes back up again. If we were doing something, we were role-playing with friends, and we're doing something in the game, we just continue from where we left off. And this gives us hardcore gamers a chance to do a bio break and maybe have some water so we don't pass out from gaming too hard. Okay, so on Discord there's a channel called in-game announcements. So in this channel you see when the server is back online, and the server is already back online. So, okay, let me set things up so that we can, have everything we need to show you guys around. Okay, so this is our character. This is called the paper doll. That has a lot of buttons and options and stuff like that. And this is what our character is wearing. You can actually just drag this into your backpack. So this is your backpack. It's basically your inventory. And here, in this area here, this is where you type stuff. Zestastic. Zesty, is that you? Like Zesty from back in Mytharia and Dark Age and all that stuff. Try using click and mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Classical War is wild. Right, cool. So Zesty is a guy, yeah, this is really nice. Zooming in and out. You can like zoom really in when you're role-playing some, I don't know, close moments. Although in this game, you can't, I think it's against the rules to do like too graphic romantic stuff, but you could do very dark scenes and stuff like that. So hey, so this is how your character talks. Let's say something basic. And so if you do a colon, this is how you emote stuff. Like, let's do something basic. So the first thing the role players usually do is to, set up the colors for text. Oh boy, there's another disconnection. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, a quick bio break since the server is going down again. And by the time I'm back, it should be up and running. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, server is back online. Good timing. Let's get comfy so we can immerse and forget about our real body now that it's been taken care of. Okay, so this is our patcher and all-in-one program. It's really nice. Okay, so what were we doing? So this is the demo area, basically. Let's try to move this around a bit so we can see the game window. So Zesty, you still around? Feel free to give people more tips and stuff on Requiem or generally this game client. So some of the shortcuts I'll tell you is most of them are using a combination of Alt and something. So Alt and R is this mini map, so you know where you're going. And this is kind of my first time in the game after a long time, so I'm still kind of setting things up, how I like them. Let's also keep track of our connection. So this server is in Canada, and I have to also say that normally the game doesn't disconnect this often. It's just because the game is just out of development. And developers are doing a lot of testing and fixing some code here and there. So, when they're done compiling or, putting the scripts in, they just restart it. So it starts with a new programming and all that kind of stuff. So, this is a very old game client, but this one is based on an open source game client. So it's a much smoother experience. It runs much better on newer and older systems. But of course, for some of you that are used to, I don't know, World of Warcraft or something of that sort, maybe it'll take you a bit to get used to it. But it has a nice, retro feel to it. So in this game, generally, when in doubt, hover your mouse over something. So here we hear probably the doctor is wearing a mask, because as you remember, this game has a torment, a plague. So here we hear someone wearing a mask. It's just nice to have the auditory. Maybe this guy. It's a plague doctor who's wearing a mask, and you can hear him breathing through the mask. Make sure that we don't give him any disease. And he's checking out. And this is the characters are automatically emoting when you walk by, and they're basically checking out newcomers and making sure that they're not sickly. So here you can roleplay, for example, going through checks, right? So you're going through all kinds of checks, and there's like there's a lineup of people waiting to get their checkups so that they're let through into the world. Now at this point, somewhere there is what is this? Oh, okay, so we also have the look command, and you can use this basically on most everything. I have to set up some basic macros. So macros are like little shortcuts. So you don't, have to type commands every time. So I think that was the command. How do I enter a shortcut here? I'm not sure about this interface on the new client. Okay, Zesty saying some stuff in chat I missed. It's good to know what sparkles in the game signify a gathering node. You can double click the garbage pile right there to rummage through it for trash items. Really? That's interesting. It's interesting to watch this from your perspective and see all the ways you interact with NPCs and objects as you play. I hope you keep streaming frequently. Yeah, I'll try to do that, Zesty. Are you part of the team now? I don't know. I mean, we've played together for such a long time. I mean, we've been friends for ages, right? Actually, you gave me one of your Guild Wars accounts, which then I gave to my ex-Canadian girlfriend. So thanks for that. I still appreciate you giving me Guild Wars at the time where I was playing it more than you were. You kind of got bored. Anyway, so how do I create a macro button? Oh, okay, so when you click that, then it will say that. But how about a keyboard shortcut? Like, can I do, I don't know. Okay, let's see if this works. Yep. Okay. It was a little harder to figure out because this client doesn't label. It didn't label exactly. So we can do it both ways. Yeah. So if we double click the button, yeah, it needs a double click. Then it's going to use the look command, and we use the look command. What this does is it also brings up descriptions. So which key did I use? Yeah, I forgot the key already, so I'm just going to use the button. So players have descriptions, and also I think I can use this on myself, right? So if you use it on yourself, it brings up the paper doll that we chose earlier in character creation. And it also brings my description. And it also says, that it's not apparent that this character is diseased. I assume that the game mechanics, after you're very sickly, is going to also start showing signs which you cannot control. It's kind of cool, actually. So after a point, you can hide that you're sick. That's definitely interesting. And their overall appearance seems simply average looking. They appear to be of an above average stature. Oh, it also tells the height and everything. Okay, cool. But then it's my own description from my character application here. So it all nicely fits in. So yeah, so using the look command, which you can either type this, look, or you can then make a macro, which is just figured out. So you have this. So here you can make a macro. You can use any of these commands or actions, and then you can click here to make a keyboard shortcuts, and you hold down all the keys that you want it to be assigned to. Yeah, Zesty, I remember everything. That's one of my problems. It's like clogging up a big noggin up there. And you can also have a keyboard shortcut, and you can also create a macro button, which makes this thing here, which if you forget your shortcut, which I just did, because I just made it, you just double click your backup. Okay, so let's pretend, this is not a nice emote. Generally, the idea with emotes is not to, put too much writing in them. So you basically, you try to animate your character in an indirect way to show what he's doing. So instead of, my first thought was that I wanted to say that the character is just waiting in line. But, what do you do when you're waiting? Okay, you just, you scratch your chin, you fiddle with something. And if you really immerse yourself, if you really, get in the zone, and you have your character template in mind, you start to craft the way that your character also behaves in the world. So your character may, have particular things that he does that are particular to him. But then, let's say if you have a second character, you switch to that character, you can start working on some other angle and some other habits and ways that your character kind of communicates himself with the world. So as I was saying earlier, one of the first things that us role players like to do is we like to customize the colors of speech. Usually for speech, it's slightly more vibrant. So something like that. And then there's the emote color. So usually, at least myself, I choose something that is kind of in the range, but a bit dark. And then we can see how that looks. So I can say that he taps his foot. Oop. And then, you can see how the color looks in the game client, also in your journal, and see if you like it. So yeah, so he's, kind of waiting in line as we're doing an intro. So using Razor, you can override speech colors. Good tip for colorblind folks. Cool, that's nice. Yeah, it's good to make the game also accessible for everyone. Meaning it'd also be good if the game was accessible for basically, if it was like spoken to you or something like that. But I don't know, for now. I mean, it's having an open source client makes that a lot more possible to find out ways to make it more accessible to everyone. It'd be very cool actually to have the game spoken to you as you're experiencing it, since a lot of it has descriptions and stuff like that. Actually, this is how I first played these kind of games before Ultima came out. I was playing in a game type that's called multi-user dimensions, where you were typing commands and then you were reading what your character was seeing, and you also given options like, you know, turn left, turn right, and there were, you know, also other users in there. So there were scripted events and other events, and there was a fighting system. Basically, the whole thing that you can do here, but it was all written. So I felt this is probably what set me up for role playing, because I really like the idea, you know, of reading a book where you are in the book and you're changing what happens in the book. And this is, I think, the magic of role playing for me is definitely that. I mean, and this is why I like to also experience the game almost more in the game than just reading the, you know, the whole lore and wiki and all that kind of stuff. I just like to get in. And so I understand if a lot of you just want to get straight in the game and just try it out. Multi-user dungeon. Was it multi-user dungeon or multi-user dimension? I think it was MUD multi. Oh, you're right. Why do I think dimension? What was I thinking? Multi-user domain. So there's multiple names based on MUD. Multi-user dungeon was the original name. Oh, later variants. There you go. Multi-user dimension and multi-user domain. So I definitely played the multi-user dimension, so my memory was accurate. But thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. So it sounds like you're also an old-timer skew, right? You must be. Oh, Ultima is on that page, right? Cool. Yeah, actually, let's bookmark this. Let's not break too much immersion too much by going through the list right now, but this is cool. So yeah, I was also thinking of like programming one of these things myself. Squamo? You are Squamo. Dude, how you been? Cool. You remember me, right? I mean, I used to play we played a lot on Dark Age together. I played Phoebus Athenian. Nice. All right. Well, lots of old timers coming by. This is a party. Living the dream. Yes, of course. Around 2004. Yep. Actually, I think I started on Dark Age when I was still playing on Mytharia. And I think I first signed on Dark Age in 1999, and then Mytharia died, like the server crashed, or who knows. Okay, so what are we doing here? So this is a test area for anyone that doesn't have a character, all right? And what is this thing? Chapter, supply requisition order. So I think maybe this is the approval for our character, and given we enter the character in the same way that it was entered, we can give this to the customs agent, I think. Your quarantine visa doesn't seem to be approved yet. Come back when it is. Okay, so what this means is that staff need to, you know, see that, okay, that you've made your in-game character inside and you've gone through character creation, and you've also used exactly the name of your written application on the forum. Right, so this is actually from archives. My current application just points to this one. And then below that, you will see approved, right? So staffer has approved your application. And so then the only thing that's missing here is for someone in staff to actually press the button or see that, you know, this is. Actually, maybe this would be automatic if my oh, there's another player here. I think that would be automatic if my name was exactly as it was on the application, but as we saw earlier, there was an issue with the apostrophe. So I changed it by necessity. So I guess we're stuck in this area until a staffer checks out the application, so we can just, continue our roleplay demo. Let's see what okay, we have a new question maybe. Roleplaying a world with some kind of mass infection. Yeah, devs obviously have their finger firmly on the pulse of the cultural zeitgeist. Yes and no. This has been the background, the story of this game for a long time. I mean, this world has been around in different chapters and different versions since like 15 years or more. So I'll just chill out here on this bench. But it definitely fits with the pandemic like a glove. I mean, and it's a chance to, as I said earlier, roleplay the pandemic in a new setting in the medieval times. I keep forgetting how they call it, medieval gridmark roleplaying. So, yeah, I mean, is there something you guys would like to see in this demo area? And actually, I'm also rediscovering this new game client, because this is an open source client that actually allows developers to do a lot more and to change a lot more in both the front end and the back end and the game side and also the server side. So this is going to be interesting to see how much they push things. Counters, this is very useful for if you play a rogue character. Could you check out one of the gathering nodes that's mentioned, the garbage pile, for example? Sure. Let's try to find one. I'm going to backtrace my steps and see maybe where we run into some trash. Says I've got a few things to trade if you have a requisition order. I think we came this way-ish. You can also run if you move the mouse. Actually, there's two ways to move. You can either move whenever you click the, right click? But if you click right click and then left click, it locks in. And then you can just chill because it kind of auto moves wherever you point. There's a little gate here. Actually, let's zoom in. Let's try to resize things just so you can see more. To see more closely. But now, actually, let's zoom up because I'm trying to find that garbage pile. I didn't even notice it. And it's also dark. Where is that? Zesty, help. Where did you spot that garbage pile, mate? Yeah, do I have any source of light? I mean, I don't have any items. Okay, let's try to look on this thing. Okay, 107th chapter supply requisition order. This form appears to be used to requisition items from the quartermaster in the 107th camp. So, okay, so this is probably what that NPC was talking about. This is so roleplay. It was near the very start. Okay. Let's try that. Although, next thing I'm going to use the requisition order to get my starting items. I think this is what the game is pointing to. Because right now it's getting really dark out here. Oh, maybe that's the one. So, as I said, to access that, I can do click. Oh, that's the zoom thing. Okay. You can double click the garbage pile. Okay. I don't see any glimmers here. Oh. Yeah, I'm double clicking all over. Maybe this is not the spot. I didn't see like any big glimmers. Let's try a different spot. Although, Zesty, you're causing some trouble over here, mate. And then you're running away. There are 8 throughout the camp. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna try and go get the starting items. Actually, can we resize this a little bit? Yeah, let's, okay, we're done with the website guides and stuff. So now we can try to get it more into a normal game mode where we can start resizing things a little bit. Okay. So you can move everything around, you can set everything up the way you like it, the way it feels natural to you. Okay, maybe we can make the game window slightly bigger still, because this way we can zoom in and still see. Oh, maybe this is the one. This seems to be glimmering. We can check this out and see what's up with that. Yeah, you can resize the client. It's a new client. You need at least some sort of a tool to harvest that. Oh, this is like it's a stone. Okay, so of course you're going to need like some mining tools. Okay, so let's run back into the other area. Now here the guy wearing his mask to avoid contamination. All the people waiting to be checked by the docs. Oh, this is that glimmer you were talking about. Yeah, this is probably it. You find nothing of value this time. Ah, okay. It's like a random Iron Jesus random check. Like, can you just keep looking in the same spot? Okay, no, you can't. Oh, this is smart. Otherwise, you just keep going back and forth from garbage pile to garbage pile until you find something. I can't feel nasty though. Like looking through the garbage, it's definitely kind of nasty. I'm not sure it's something. I mean, my character is probably, it's not, too beyond him. Mining node, yep. Where was the requisition officer? Wasn't he here? Are we here in the wrong time? Maybe he went home or something, I don't know. It's pretty dark. Can't see much. Oh, hello. So we have our first character. I mean, we see the name, but he hasn't introduced himself to us, so we don't know his name. And we can, talk a bit with an accent. I just arrived from the path not a while ago. Yeah. I mean, you can choose to speak more with an accent in this game. You can go with like some sort of an archaic form of English to make it, kind of fit in even more. I think that's another character walking about, trying things out. Good to, well, I'm glad you made it through. So it definitely helps a lot to type very fast in this game. He found one thing. Okay, what did you find? Okay, actually, let's look at him. So as I was saying earlier, definitely, it paints more of a picture to know who you're looking at, who you're talking to. The paper train worker gave me, I was able to exchange it for a supply. Oh, that's grand. I was just looking for the lad. Yes, please. I'd appreciate that. So we have a friendly dude that wants to show us around. Okay. So we can also do this other thing. What's this? Alt click. Think that does following or not. Yeah. Oh, that's the one. Okay. I went to the wrong hut, the wrong house. Grand, thank you. So, I have one requisition order, and I get one item. Well, that's expensive. So what do we get? So we get a choice of dying of thirst without a water skin, of squinting to look through things in the dark, and a rope to climb out of who knows what hole we fall in, and that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a lantern for now because I like to see where I'm going. Okay, so we exchange our requisition order. A nice little lantern. So we can just drag it to our paper doll. This is the paper doll area. This is your character, what it looks like when other people at least look at your character. And you can just double click on that thing. Lights up his lantern. Good to see. Good to a bit more in the dark, ain't it? If you need a water skin later on, I'm a tailor. I'll be able to make you one. That help. I seem to have lost mine. You're quite nice. What's your name? So you have to remember that, in the game, you don't know anyone's name until you ask them. Even though the game tells you, you can just hover over someone and it will tell you the name is such and such. But you have to rely on the information that they tell you, that the character actually tells you. And then you see, oh, okay, they gave me their real name. If they don't give you the real name, it's actually bad form. And you're kind of breaking the rules if you know that this person is lying to you. You have to roleplay that your character doesn't know. Because you have your character kind of has to go with the information that's given to him. So yeah, it's quite a nice guy. So you have to kind of follow a natural conversation. I am Ammon. Nice to meet you. So it's your choice to give people your full name. I mean, this is very formal to give people your full name. It's fine to just say, just meeting someone, you can just give them your first name. Yep. I see people are answering other people's questions in chat. That's very helpful. So you can also maximize the game. I just don't maximize it because I want to be able to look at a website and show you something on the website, on the game's website, where it's useful. So here you can also see, the top part is written by the game mechanics, depending on what the player chose. This tells you that this person doesn't appear to be sick, right? So you don't have a reason to avoid him. Because this place, is suffering from the torment, which is a type of disease, a plague. And then it tells you that they are in their 30s, right? My character is in his 20s, so it's nice that they have this interaction. So the Adam is looking out for Ammon, being, an older guy and kind of a bit more learned in a way. And that his overall appearance seems to be simply average looking. So we're both a couple of average guys looking out for one another. Okay, so I missed the Adam emoted that, he was holding out his hand to shake, like a handshake. Indeed, friend. Because I was doing like too much explaining and I dropped out of my character for a second. So I'm going to keep roleplay a bit simpler for now, so I can give people a chance to get their head around roleplaying. He says there should be a place to sit somewhere near, maybe a campfire. Let's look for one. So campfires and places to hang out with players really it's a nice way to sit around the campfire and trade stories, and also you're relaxing, and you're relaxing your own person, your own real person. It's relaxing to sit around, share stories. Actually, puts out his lantern. I mean, here we have more natural light, right? So unless you're role-playing a character that's really paranoid, I chose to just conserve whatever fuel this lantern is using, since there's a big torch over here, and also a cauldron and a fire pit. And when in doubt, you can just click on something. So I'll give you also the name if you're curious. So Adam, this is a very basic conversation. Even, you run around town and you ask someone, so what do you do? I'm a bit of a woodsman myself and can point a bow. How about you? So, I mean, role-playing doesn't have to be extremely difficult. Conversations can start easy. You don't have to emote too much. I mean, you can develop your emoting style. So this is like, it animates your character, what your character is doing. And that, kind of brings things more to life. So he says, I dabble in a few crafts, but my forte is tailoring. There can never be enough tailors, methinks. Noble profession, that is the comforts alone, and pillows. I miss pillows. Me family left how would I phrase this? The comforts of a town long ago. But I remember having pillows in my room. Yeah, so I'm just giving like some character thoughts, because he grew up in a small town and then his parents decided to move to the countryside. So there weren't much pillows there. So of course, he's thinking, oh, Taylor, this is great. And Adam says, as do I. I look forward to weaving some bed sheets and make a comfortable place to sleep. Oh yeah, that sounds dreamy after such a long journey. I was about to say trek, but I'm not sure if that word was popular then. So I just went with journey instead. You kind of have to, as much as you can, keep it like, in the era which is around Renaissance. And you'd think some words that, seem more modern actually started back then. I had to avoid a lot of risks and the shady types of folk. I'm from here in the First Coast Territory, not too far. Oh, Midlands itself. So this is the territories that, we also saw in character selection, and you can go back in the vote if that doesn't make sense for the YouTube folks, and you can see the different areas that there are to start from. And each area has its own unique backstory and its own unique strong points, weak points. And it's good to read all that stuff, to just have it in the back of your mind. So when you're having, a free free-form conversation, which is basically, you know, it's like impromptu. I don't know if any of you have done impromptu, where you're all on stage and there's a background, and you know, usually one of the impromptu groups says, "Oh, you know, name a city or name an event or name a place," and that sets the scene. So here the scene is a campfire, two travelers, you know, traveling a long ways to come to the first province, to Vitavius, which is this area. Well, as a hunter, do you skin your prey and sell the hides, or mostly deliver the game to a butcher? A bit of both. Depends on the tools and of course the time I have. So yeah, so every character has, well, can have trades, so things that, you know, other people need, or your own character needs, and you know, he has some sort of trade, he can cover some of his own needs. But of course, we can't do everything, so you have to rely on other characters. So he says, I'll have need for hides once we get out of here and into the first province. As a tailor, makes sense. I'll keep you in mind once I have a lay of the land. Exclamation mark. He says sort of offhandedly. So I'm not emoting as much because I'm also describing everything. Emotes are not my forte as much. I'm more of a conversationalist. He says, thanks. So, okay, so, you know, when things get slow, you can, you know, look around more, you can look at the character more, as you normally would in the real world, and then you notice, oh, that rather thick and stout middle-aged man. And then you think, oh, yeah, this guy looks, you know, kind of middle-aged. So you're taking this information that this other character wrote, but you're, you know, noticing it as you're noticing it in the game by looking at him and then thinking, you know, how does this change how you look, how you see the character and what they tell you. Many years of hard work and toil can be seen in the strength of his arms and hands. So now you start to notice, you know, before you didn't notice, you kind of like glance at him very quickly, then we glanced away. So now you notice that, oh yeah, he's a, you know, a strong craftsman that's been hammering things, and, you know, actually a tailor doesn't hammer things as much, but, you know, they use a loom and stuff like that. I guess that builds him up as well. Adam looks over the guard and says, I used to work as a farmhand. Oh. So what did you do exactly? I mean, a farmhand could be doing a bunch of things. Looks closer to Adam. You have to capitalize as much. It's not as important. It's more important to stay in the flow. I mean, you can type whichever way you type, but it's so long that your grammar is kind of okay, especially when you're emoting. So people are not like scratching their beards, figuring out what your character is doing. It's more important to kind of make things flow. So he says cattle herding and raising mostly. So we can probably make our client slightly bigger as well. See how much is covered in stream. Yeah, I'll keep adapting this as I play. Okay, so did he say anything else? So if something is not easy to read in light mode, I guess you can quickly change back and forth. I'm glad we met, Ammon. There's usually a group of folks that sit around the larger campfire just west of here. Oh, through the gate or in this fort? I think that's a fort. I mean, it looks like a fort from... Yeah, it's definitely a fort. You see these are like the outer walls and stuff like that. Just past this row of tents. Okay. Okay. Motions over his shoulder. So who have you met there? Now at this point, like, my character is starting to get a bit cautious. Like, oh, you know, come over here. Come check this, you know, dark corner out with me. I wouldn't recommend that unless your character is really curious. I'm rather outgoing, so... Yeah, well, my character is not that social. I mean, he's actually kind of wary of strangers, so he's already feeling a bit, I mean, you know, he's already thinking, should I trust this guy? I mean, he seems friendly. And this is a cool thing about this game, is like, you don't know. I mean, you know, this player and his character may be so smooth that in the end, I don't know, maybe there's a dark plot twist and he's not just a tailor. There's maybe more to that. But so far, he seems like a vanilla character. He says, I've met some Templars and some church folk. I am not too with those kinds. So I should look at other commands. There's a lot of commands that you can issue, a lot of things that you can kind of figure out. Actually, let's look at the skills as it's happening. But it's good to also stay in sync with his character, because we're role-playing and discussing in character. So as our characters would be talking to one another. It says a few hunters, mercenaries, and engineers. Lots of variety. Okay, let's move this over. Takes all kinds, eh? Okay, so that's 0 skills. Wow. A man recently died by the fire, stuck his own head in it and burned himself. Eee! That's probably the biggest event recently. Seems a little concerned. That is, yeah. Yeah, it's a little dark. So some dude stuck his head in the fire, apparently. Okay. Okay, so these are all the skills. I guess because we're still in the demo area where we're waiting for our papers to be processed. This hasn't kicked in yet. Not really nay. Nay means no. I waited a lot in line for tests and such. Okay. Let me check my messages meanwhile. Okay, so, I mean, it's getting a little close to my sleepy time and I have to wake up early tomorrow. So, oh, what did he say? 1 second. Let's check the waves. Good to meet you, he said again, I'll be around. Okay, so and then he just took off. Okay, I mean, let's do one more try to see if we got approved through the through the gateway to the real world. So you can also keep, players' names out like this. It also helps like in memory things. Like, oh, who did I just meet? Oh, this guy, right? But don't forget that we have to go by the name that they tell you. No, my visa isn't approved yet. Okay. Guess the stuff. And we'll look through the trash again. We found nada. Nothing useful. Just trash. Oh, it looks like a lot of the piles are searchable. Oh, that was a big group here. Looks around to the group and gives some brief waves. Okay, so this is a bigger group of people hanging around the fire. So the people that are present, you see that their names are yellow, whereas the people who have left the scene, at least as far as you're considered, are kind of grayed out a little bit. How are ye travelers? Vel, vitas zen not rest upon laurels. So someone has a heavier accent over here. And continue to assist in purging the inflicted, says someone whose name we don't know yet. In the horrors of the land, Cain looks aside to Ammon and bows his head. His head back to Cain. Evening. We must be worthy for their return. Mankind should show that it deserves to be saved once again. So the discussion has really flared up over here. So these characters are getting to meet one another. For that, it would be ideal that there were no wicked-tongued blasphemers, corpse carriers, or... His tone is about undoubtedly dry. Oh, there are apostates among us. So this guy is more like a churchy, more proper, and such. An unseen fouls even worse than which is in plain sight. Seems a bit more perplexed. Listening on as far as that is made apparent by my character. So everyone seems to be thinking about the discussion, and my character just run into this camp, but the other guy actually told them that there's people in a camp up here. This is nice of him. There's a slight upturn at the corner of the man's lips, but he turns his head away, looking back. Let's check out actually what this guy looks like, since we're noticing so many of his actions. Might as well paint more of a picture. They don't appear sick. Somewhere in their 40s. Overall plain looking. Average stature. Let's take it all in, but it's good to stay in sync with everyone. So you can read the rest of the stuff, use the look command when there's not too much going on, and then you can read up later on journal. But sometimes there's something that's happening that's time sensitive, and maybe something that you need to respond to, like someone is threatening you, someone is doing something to you, or something that concerns your character, and you kind of have to pay attention to what's happening and be more concerned with what's happening and less concerned with stuff that your character would notice when he has time to notice things. So what is this guy doing? So he says, Tiarnan says, that's some pretty words. What's that mean? In some accent that my character doesn't recognize too much, or at least I don't. Maybe my character recognizes the accent, or maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know if we've set a standard of how to roleplay the different kinds of accents that there are in the game, depending on where your character grew up, the area that you chose your character to be from. Lumi looks at Dragomir as he speaks the old words, mouthing them, trying to figure out how to say them. Okay, so the accent is difficult for one of them, or at least the more learned. You know, Dragomir is role-playing a more learned character that's a bit of a churchy, and these guys, they read a lot about, you know, church doctrines and all that stuff. So they are the more educated of the crowd. As simple folk, I mean, my character is like in his 20s, and he's a woodsman. He knows how to hunt, how to, you know, maintain his bow, and probably how to skin things, how to, you know, find things in the forest and stuff like that. He doesn't know. I mean, he learned to read. His mom taught him to read, but he doesn't know that much. So you kind of have to, you know, roleplay your character as your character is, and not as you are so much. And so this is what Lumi is also doing. Although that's kind of loading a lot into the emote. But, you know, it's a style. It's okay, I guess. Tiarna drapes his forearms across his knees as he remains crouched at the edge of the firelight. And Dragomir goes on, flame that is in my heart returning is your light. It is a prayer for the flame's glory. And Marcellus nods a bit, looks back to the fire. Many believe that the best way to reach the angels is with their own tongue. I can teach you more prayers if you wish. Eyes Tiernan with a serious look. Of course, you know, as a church person, he doesn't miss an opportunity to get people to sign on to the church, or to teach, or to, you know, maybe break into a sermon, who knows. Tiernan inclines his head slightly. When he glances at Lucian, where is Lucian? I haven't even noticed Lucian. I haven't noticed all the characters yet. So what you can do is you can drag people's name out, and one trick is to put the titles close to where they are. So there's Lucian, and since this character looked at Lucian, we can follow the gaze and also look at Lucian and see what this Lucian person is about. He's not sick. Early 30s, simply gorgeous. Okay, so this influences then Europlay. Let's say glances at Lucian a bit longer. So this is simply, you know, showing that, okay, well, he looked, you know, he liked what he looked at, so he let his eyes rest a bit longer on Lucian than the others. So he is what? His body, if you ever see it, is well-toned with the Kusun symbols tattooed along his chest. Okay, well, he is dressed right now, so we can't see his chest, so we know that we don't know this information yet. But we know that if he undresses, then we would see the Kusun symbols and all that stuff. So right now we don't know that he's a more religious character, unless he demonstrates that by his speech. Interesting. This guy, what was about standing above this guy? Let's see. Aging man, mid to late 40s, a thick sea of inky black waves have long since faded to the color of ash, offset by the vibrant green of his eyes. Green eyes and ashy hair and beard and stuff like that. Despite his best efforts to conceal, the man appears to have acquired some heft about his midsection. and often being seen to favor his left side with an exaggerated stride. Interesting. So these are things that set people apart. Okay. Okay. All right, let's see. Here, take this. It's a prayer book. Of course, what would a church person do, right? It's like exactly the role. To help you reach the angels, it contains many passages in principal speech. No man can speak such a heavenly tongue perfectly. Yet what else can we mortals do but try, no? Missed all the emotes, but let's turn to accept the book. Okay, so he accepts the book. Turns the thing over in his hand, inspecting the quality. That's a nice emote that really adds a lot to the game. So what the character is doing, and that speaks for itself. So it gives you a way into the character's mind, but without forcing you to see their thoughts, which you can't see their thoughts, right? So if you role play the thoughts, that's, in my opinion, it's not a very good quality role play, because you need to, as you become a better role player, you learn how to lead people on and how to foreshadow and how to outline what the character is thinking by the way that he's acting, and of course based on the way that you design him. Okay, so perhaps you could read a passage for us. Oh wow, this guy is really pushing the church business. Flamma sa sacra. What? Her eyebrow is raised slightly. He tries to speak a few of them. Grunts then. Lucian nods, whispers. That's a bit tongue twisting, eh? So it's a hard book. But that book, I don't know, like these words, they sound like magic, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else is behind that. It's definitely weird. So yeah, that all is happening, and I'm just all describing. Looks across all the speakers. Sometimes stroke his chin in, appearing lost in thought. Cannot blame a baby for not knowing how to run. Certainly the angels do not blame us for our spiritual infantility. What is important is to keep trying and stay firm in faith. Oh boy. And so someone is, you feel as though you're being watched, means someone is using the look command on you. Might as well check out the rest of the folks here. Everyone seems to be healthy, which is a good thing. I mean, we just started. It'd be unfortunate if someone is already sick with a torment and dying. Templar is in mid-20s with honey blonde hair and green eyes with a muscular build. He stands 6'2" with a militant posture. He might be imposing were it not for the careful, calm demeanor worn upon his countenance. Amidst pleasant company, should one meet his gaze, they would likely find a gentle smile and a nod of greeting in return. His eyes tend to turn over his surroundings despite his calm mannerism, as if always searching for a threat. Okay, so my character is close to this character. He's kind of always minding his surroundings. He's grown, in an environment with turmoil and, kind of a darker story. And a lot of these characters actually, didn't have a happy childhood, so to speak. So half my characters are kind of like that. Except for one. Actually, my magic-based character was much more like, raised in a noble house and then kind of finding a magic tree and starting to learn about magic from that enchanted tree, which was an interesting background choice. So As I was saying earlier, it's good to drag out the character names by them. Even though you don't know them right now, is what you do know, like the roleplay version of this, is you know what they look like, right? So you know, like, okay, so if you things that you know that you recognize are server disconnected, but it's okay. So you know their hair and the skin tone, right? So let's say if this guy was a rogue, and then he hides behind a tent somewhere, and he runs around town, and he masquerades himself. He changes his appearance and stuff like that, and then he comes back. But you'll still notice the skin tone will be the same. But if he does a very good job and he changes almost everything, then it's actually very hard to know that, okay, this guy is this guy. And on some worlds, the game mechanics also allow you to change the name, which makes it even better for a rogue character. Because then, nobody can even, not even the person behind the character knows what this rogue is up to. I played a couple of these rogues back in the day. Okay, server's back online. Let's see how quickly everyone's gonna log back in. Oh, this thing is quick. Wow, nice. So every time you make changes and you exit the game, it saves it in a configuration file. So you see the way we adjusted everything is the way that everything is. So as I said earlier, normally there's not so many server restarts right now. There's a lot of testing going on. And this is why the staff and the developers are changing something and then restarting the server to get the new configurations and the new scripts. But even, if something happens to the server, it comes back online by itself very quickly. Then you can, wait for, let's say if I was role-playing with Kane that was sitting over here, I can, hang out, wait a little bit, or I can, if I have to, like, go to a general chat and say, oh, whoever was role-playing Kane, are you planning to come back? So you can know, where you're just ending your role-play session and you can continue the role-play session in another day, another time. Or, role-play and end to it. So let's say the characters just, went to bed or whatever. You can fill in your own ending here. Okay, so it's getting a little late for me. This is fun. It's nice to, sit around a fireplace and meet people. Rubs his eyes a bit. Tiredly, probably misspelled that, but it's fine. So the game actually saved this guy as a last target because I had his name out last almost. So yeah, I'm getting the names out again and trying to basically like memorize just enough about them. Actually, before we go, we can read more about these characters that we met, and we're now creating our first memories of the character. Zesty says, thank you for running the stream. I know a few people that popped in and got some value from your tutorial. Perfect. I'm also going to put the thing on YouTube for people to go back on, and then I can refer to that, and we can refer people to that to go through the basics, and I'll try to think of, how to kind of go deeper into other stuff. And actually, this character, I'll try to go through the stages. So as he's thinking about stuff and how he's thinking about stuff, and also, work on improving my roleplay even a little bit, and share the magic of roleplaying with everyone. So thanks for tuning in, Zesty and friends. Okay, so we were just about to read a bit more about the characters around the fire. Salome, of course, healthy, early 20s, so same age as my character. That's, more interesting, romantically maybe. And their overall appearance seems rather beautiful. Okay, that's much more interesting, and you can see that the player chose a very striking avatar. Like, wow, beautiful. They appear to be of a tall stature. Wow, so she's probably taller than my character. That's already kind of funny. Like if, let's say, my character start to have the hots for Lumi, that's going to be interesting to see how the average height dude hangs out with a tall beautiful chick. You see someone exotic. Let's start over. You see someone exotic-looking woman with pure white hair, piercing blue eyes, and pale white skin. She looks around 20 winters old, but her weathered skin does make her appear older. Her body is athletic, but not all that muscular. Hanging from her belt is a skinning knife and a pouch filled with tailor's tools. Both look well used. Cool, another tailor. It's nice that she made it obvious that she's a tailor in her description. That's actually kind of smart for a crafter, because you want people to know that you are, a crafter. Crafters rely on people wanting help from them, and slowly they can start building their reputation, and then they can build their shop. She speaks in a cold voice, not putting much emotion into it, but her voice is cold. She makes up for it with gesturative hands, bringing life to whatever she's telling. Okay, so she talks a lot with her hands. So reading too much into her character, you kind of like zoned out from the conversation here. So we can then go on the journal and figure out what the hell's going on. Well, it's the language of heaven. So this guy continues about divinities and stuff. The language of creation. I'm not particularly familiar with that. If being honest, though, I did have a friend who took to it. Perhaps you know that witch can also use it if their abuse of speech is empowered. Inclines his head slightly. Tiernan did that. By the Dakin, to bring forth the manipulation of existence, a proper prayer such as in there is not a commandment, nor does it seek enforce weak human wills, but instead humbly reaches out to the angels. It's a prayer book, huh? You can keep that one. I can find another. Tiernan grinning somewhat, he pats the satchel where the book is safely stored. Well, this guy writes very well, so that really makes, kind of the world come to life as you read that, as you read the descriptions. It makes things easier and more fun to take part in. Yeah, I'm not role-playing as much. It's more boring to other people. My character's just sitting there. Sue seems to be observing everyone quietly. Rubs his eyes again a bit. So basically I'm foreshadowing that my character is going to make a beeline to some sort of a tent and, probably find a nice place to pass out. Although I'm tempted to read everyone's description. But yeah, let's leave some for another day. I bid ye all a good rest and hope to find ye healthy once more. Waves a bit different. Folks around the fire. So Kane is greeting Daphne. People are introducing themselves. My character hasn't introduced himself to anyone. I mean, generally, he's much more, not that social. He's kind of more into one-on-ones. I mean, that's the background. He kind of grew up in the forest, so he's not the super social guy. At least in this stage in his development, and for a while, he's going to be a bit more of a not recluse, but kind of careful. So let's try to. Oops. Okay, someone is using this tent. So basically, just looking for a place to, camp. So let's just say it takes an unused tent. And makes his preparations, his rest. All right, so this is going to be it, guys, for the introduction to role-playing. I'm going to also upload this to YouTube. Feel free to put stuff in comments, and I'll try to answer questions or point you to the right direction to find out more about this game. Again, let me quickly take you to the website. The website is 13thrones.com. And here you can start with apply for a character, or you can also check out the game by just going on connecting, files and setup. And then you can scroll down and you can just get the game client from this link, step 1. And you can just get in and see how you like it. And, you know, I would just recommend read a lot and all reading the game, and then as questions arise and you want to find out more stuff, you can come to the website and there's a whole bunch of stuff to read. You know, starting here, it will take you through most of everything, the rules and kind of the logic behind roleplay. And you can go back to the start of the video and go through the whole setup and the logic. I also go through my character setup, this character that I'm using, and everything. So that maybe I'll give you some ideas. Again, you can go and look at the different playstyles and different skills. You want to play crafter, you want to go out and hunt, you want a balance of both. Everything's possible, and you can, you know, make your own little unique character. And you can have fun just role-playing. You don't have to like be the best at this game to just have fun. Okay, that's all for me. I'm going to head to rest. Early full day waiting for me tomorrow. It's already 1 a.m. Wow. So thanks for joining in, and I'll see you guys soon again.